Yet another amazing vista that helps define Alberta. Hello, Alberta. This is David White. I'm the leader of the Freedom Conservative Party of Alberta, and I wanted to spend a few more minutes with you, as I often enjoy being able to do. Not so long ago, our Premier, Jason Kenney, made a statement indicating how he had ancestral ties going back many, many years that defined his attachment to Canada. And as by way of that lineage, his dedication and his requirement to be entwined with Canada. He also made a point of saying that we were getting a raw deal and that we had a right to be frustrated, and that really it was more a matter of getting Justin Trudeau out than anything else. Well, the Premier is absolutely right to be proud of that history. It's rich and it's deserving of recognition, the sacrifices and the service of all those. But he's far from the only one. Certainly, my stepfather was a fighter pilot as well, then moved over to being a cargo pilot, flying C-130s, even over in Egypt during the UN missions, lost a crew to a missile that they took midair while he was forced to be taken into sickbay with a temperature of, I believe, 109. My grandfather in the Air Force, my other grandfather in the Royal Navy, both in World War II. The Premier is not the only one that can lay claim to having a rich history of service, investment, sacrifice. Certainly, in addition to that, the idea that we're getting a raw deal, as I've mentioned before, is interesting, considering that one of the architects of some of the raw deal that we've been getting is none other than our Premier himself. And now we have a Premier who seems to be more focused on being Prime Minister soon to be than Premier of Alberta. Within a few weeks of his, actually days of his being elected Premier of the province, where was he? He was out in Toronto going door to door in order to try and campaign for the federal Progressive Conservative Party of Canada. In addition to that, he seems to have lost the idea or the need to ensure that Alberta is its own rightful separate entity from the rest of Canada. Yes, being part of it, I understand, but not directly under its express instruction. Frustration is an understatement. We left frustration a long while ago. We're now in a position where the anger has been growing and growing and growing. And the arrogance of governments, this latest federal government being the latest in a long litany of arrogant governments, and the current United Conservative government making no mistake that they themselves are equally arrogant, complete with the Redford era tactics, removal of our own traditions that were expressly and exclusively Albertan, and instead infusing and forcing Ottawa on us, telling us that his MLAs and those that sit in the legislature under the UCP will be able to vote according to conscience. And yet I have literally watched the House Leader during evening sessions indicating and expecting and having full compliance of all those there voting accordingly, yes or no, according to how he has indicated and instructed his people to respond. And I've seen the NDP do the same thing in kind. So the idea that we have free vote is as insulting as it is ludicrous. I suspect that whatever we may see on the outside is just a veneer, and that whatever control this Premier maintains over his people will be absolutely ironclad behind the scenes and behind the curtain. The fact is that we are long past frustrated. We are angry. And we've actually been moving away from anger. It's not a matter of just removing a prime minister. It's a matter of reforming government. And electoral reform is essential. Otherwise, make no mistake, the storm, it is coming. And it is as real as that one there. I'll share more with you in a bit, Alberta. Thank you. Stay safe. You're in my mind and you're definitely in my heart.